This is an incident scenario to demonstrate how ConsoleWorks improves the efficiency and effectiveness of core IT operations. In this demonstration, we will show how ConsoleWorks fills in the gap left by traditional incident management and performance monitoring systems.
I just received an incident ticket. This ticket tells me what device the message refers to, right here T5120, but I don't know what the problem actually is from this information. It says no response to pull request. So I'll have to log on to the server and see what's going on.
This is an important point. It is common with incident tickets and break-fix scenarios that additional information is often needed to isolate the issue and diagnose the actual problem.
The server is not responding. I can't connect to it with SSH to see what's going on. Usually at this point, we need to have someone connect to the ILOM configuration controller on the server to find out anything more, or do a power off, power on restart to see if the server can recover on its own.
This is where it gets interesting. So how does this scenario change with ConsoleWorks, John?
Let me show you. With ConsoleWorks, I have a persistent connection to the ILOM controller. With it, I can review console logs and see what actually happened. Here are the log files for the server that went wrong here. Let's take a look at today's. I can see what's going on. Well, it looks like it was rebooting. And this right here, method libservice method fslocal, failed with exit status 95. That's the real clue. Let me do a Google search on it. Strip off the timestamp. Aha. Here it is. This tells me that the configuration for the drive is probably incorrect. Let me pull up the configuration file through ConsoleWorks. Opening up the connection to the console on the ILOM controller. Now I'm logging into the system through the console on the ILOM controller. Aha, here's the problem. This last entry, LDOM's disk iSCSI. We've got an iSCSI disk mounted, and the mount options are yes, which means it tries to mount it again at boot time as a local file system before the network is operational. So let me change that to what it should be, and then I can reboot the system and make sure it comes up.
John, so let me understand. When you tried to connect to the server earlier using normal connection means, you were not able to connect to it at all. But you're actually connected to that machine while it's down right now with ConsoleWorks. And you're actually fixing the problem. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've identified what the problem was. I've just written that file out again, and now I can reboot the system, and it should come up normally, and the problem should be fixed. Here it goes through its normal reboot process after this finishes rebooting, and I can monitor it. It should come up, and everything should be all right.
And so if you didn't have ConsoleWorks, someone would have physically had to go out to this box. And either, I guess if they would have done a hard boot and reboot, that probably wouldn't have helped, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Until the configuration was changed, this machine would have never brought its network services back online, so the only way to connect to it would be through its console port, either by connecting over the network to the ILOM port or by physically plugging into the serial ILOM port.
And I guess the other thing that's really important is because ConsoleWorks was actually connected to that port all the time in a persistent mode, you could actually see what happened. You didn't lose any information that helped you identify exactly the source of the problem.
That's right. In fact, let's go ahead and look at that right now. We can find out when the change was made to the file and who did it. If I go to our console reports, our console message reports.
So ConsoleWorks actually logs the commands of the systems administrators and network administrators that use it?
Absolutely. Anything that's sent to and from the system is recorded, and ConsoleWorks can capture what happened and when it happened and who did it. Here's our system right there we want to report on. Now I know that this was rebooted successfully sometime last week, so I'm going to run it from last week through to today. Alright, and here is the console activity for that time period. I can see that it was Tim Smith connecting to the console here, and yeah, he's looking at the editing the VFS tab table for the file systems. And scroll down here, and yeah, I can see he put in that new entry for the iSCSI disk, and he set it to mount it boot yes rather than mount it boot iSCSI. And I can see he disconnected from the console there. So I'm going to have a talk with Tim and make sure he understands that iSCSI disks need to be specified as such instead of local file systems. Otherwise he'll prevent the system from coming back at reboot. And the other thing about this is this change took place on March 10th. That was last Thursday, but it didn't take effect until the machine was rebooted today on the 14th. So you would have, without any kind of logging, really been hard-pressed to discover the root cause of this situation.
That's very interesting. So what's the status of the server now? Has it come back up? Have we actually solved the problem?
Here I can see that we've got our login prompt to it, and let me go ahead and show you that it's responding to network connections now. Yep, there it is.
Ah, yep, there it is. It's back.
Of course, it would help if I used the proper username for SSH and not the capital username. There we go. I have a login via SSH over the network, and I have a console login here that I can log into as well.
So we have just demonstrated a number of important capabilities of ConsoleWorks. We have shown where a mistake that is very easy to make can cause a server to fail. We've also demonstrated how ConsoleWorks remains in control even when a failure like this occurs and can be used to resolve the problem. We have shown a common example of an incident ticket that does not provide enough information to actually isolate and solve the problem, and we have shown how ConsoleWorks captures that information to facilitate and expedite incident isolation and resolution. But now, in addition, ConsoleWorks records all the console activity, and sometimes we want to use that information for compliance requirements or ITIL practices. John, can we actually include the incident history in the incident ticket that we send back to the help desk?
Oh, absolutely. Of course we can. Let me go ahead and show you that. Bring up the log calendar again, and if we look at today's log file, let me go ahead and capture from where I log in until my editing of the VFS tab. That's basically my remediation history. Right down here, right till I reboot. Go ahead and copy that. Now I have it in my copy buffer, and I can respond to the incident ticket. Here's my remediation of the event, editing the FCFS tab. I can send that off to the incident ticket system and have a log of everything that I performed.
So now we can actually support compliance requirements and ITIL practices directly from the commands that were executed through ConsoleWorks. Well, I think that concludes our demonstration for today. Thank you, John.